Hello, today we are going to be going through making connections in word problems using the RDW or the read, draw, write process. So before we get into the actual word problem, let's review or go over what the read, draw, write process is. So we are going to first read the problem. I usually suggest reading the problem two times. The first time you're just reading through it to get a general understanding of the problem. As you read it the second time, you're going to couple that with the second step with drawing and labeling some type of picture or model. So reading the second time allows you to chunk the problem and draw and label some type of picture each step of the way. Once you have drawn and labeled your picture, the next step is writing an equation or some type of number sentence that matches the model. And once you have solved all of the steps, if it is a one step, two step, multi step word problem, you are going to write a word sentence or a statement that states your answer. So let's go through this. We're going to be doing I'm going to be doing some modeling with some interactive questioning. As we go through this word problem, this is also a way that you can present word problems in the classroom with your students. So let's go through it. All right, so remember the first step is the R, the read. So I'm going to read it two times. The first time I'm going to read it just completely through, just so we get an understanding of kind of what the problem is asking us. And then as we go through it the second time, we're going to chunk it and shift in between reading and drawing our models to make sure that we're understanding what they're asking. So in 1 year, a factory used 11,650 meters of cotton, 4,950 fewer meters of silk than cotton, and 3,500 fewer meters of wool than silk. How many meters were used in all three fabrics? So after reading the first time, I'm going to read it again. And as we're reading it, let's think about what we may be able to draw to help us um, break down the problem, what model we can use to chunk it and make it a little easier to understand. All right, so it says in 1 year, a factory used 11,650 meters of cotton. So I know stopping right there, what can I draw? Yes, I can draw a tape diagram. So if I'm going to use the tape diagram, the first part I already know is that we used 11,650 meters of cotton. So on my paper, on my whiteboard, I'm going to draw my tape diagram. I'm going to label this as C for cotton. And I know that this is 11,650 meters. So I'm just going to label that first part of my tape diagram. All right, let's go back to the problem. So we stopped and we know that they use 4,950 fewer meters of silk than cotton. So I know as I'm reading this, if I know that they use fewer meters, is my tape diagram for silk going to be longer or shorter than my tape diagram for cotton? And because I know that it says fewer, I know that it's going to be shorter. So I'm not exactly sure what this section is that they use, but I know that when I add this part and 4,950, that will tell me how much silk. And this is the same thing as the cotton. So whatever they use plus the 4,950 fewer meters will tell us how much silk they used. All right, so let's go back. Lastly, it says 3,500 fewer meters of wool than silk. So very similar. I know that however much wool they use, it's going to be the part that they use and 3,500 meters. So just looking at my picture or my model thus far, I know that for cotton, they use 11,650 meters. I know that for silk, they use some amount and 4,950 meters fewer. So when I add this amount and this 4,950 meters, it will add up to our cotton. And then I know for the wool, they use, again, some amount and 3,500 meters fewer than what they did for silk. So when I add these two together, that should give me the same amount as they used in cotton. And when I add these two, that will give me what they use for silk. So now we can go through the process, because we have our picture, of either adding or subtracting to figure out these amounts of silk and wool. So I know that they use 4,950 fewer meters of silk than they did of cotton. So in order to find what this other part is, I know I'm going to have to subtract. So my subtraction sentence will be 11,650 meters minus 4,950 meters. So I know that some students may struggle to do this using the standard algorithm. So I'm going to use a place value chart and our place value disk to help me subtract. So I'm going to set up my place value chart. These are my ones, my tens, my hundreds, my thousands, and my 10,000s. All right, now, because I am subtracting, I know that I'm going to start with my whole, which is 11,650, and I'm subtracting 4,950. So in my place value chart, I only have to put my whole. So I know that I have 0 ones, I have 5 tens, I have 6 hundreds, I have 1,000, and I have 1 10,000. So let's start with our subtracting. I know that if I have 0 ones and I'm taking 0 ones away, that I can do that. So I know that will leave me with 0 ones. I know that if I have 5 tens and I'm taking 5 tens away, I can cross out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That will leave me with 0 tens. Let's move to our hundreds. I have 6 hundreds, but I need to take 9 hundreds away. I cannot do that right now. So I need to decompose, go next door and decompose this 1,000 into 10 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to show it in my standard algorithm. So this 1,000 is now 0,000, and these 600s are now 1,600s. So now I have 16. I have enough to take away 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I count how many I have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the same thing in my vertical subtraction. All right, now I know that I have 0,000s, but I need to take 4 of them away. I cannot do that. So once again, I'm going to decompose this 10,000 into 10,000s. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Show it up here. This is 0, and now I have 10,000s, and I can take 4 of them away. 1, 2, 3, 4. That leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And going to my 10,000s place, I just have 0. So I know for silk, they use 6,700 meters of silk. So I'm going to fill that in my place value. In my tape diagram, excuse me. All right. So that tells us how much silk they use. Now we have to figure out how much wool they use. So I can use the same process. So I know that they use 3,500 fewer meters of wool than they did of silk. And now that I know my silk, I can subtract. So I have 6,700 meters, going to take away 3,500 meters. Our meters will stay the same. I'm going to do it again on my place value chart. These are my ones, my tens, my hundreds, and my thousands. Once again, I know that I'm starting with my whole. So I have 0 ones, 0 tens, I have 7 hundreds, 5, 6, 7, and 6 thousands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm ready to subtract. I know 0 minus 0 will leave us once again with 0. 0 minus 0 will leave us with 0. So now moving to my hundreds, I have 7. I'm going to take away 5 hundreds. So I know I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That leaves me with 2 hundreds. And going to my thousands place, I have 6. I'm going to take away 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And that leaves me with 3 thousands. So now I know that we use 3,200 meters of wool. Let's go back and see if any of this has solved our problem and answered our question. So as I look, how many meters were used in all 3 fabrics? So now that I know how much I have of each fabric, I need to add those numbers together. So I'm going to erase this. So I know I need to add up my cotton, which was 11,650 meters, my silk, which was 6,700 meters, and my wool, which was 3,200 meters. So I could do it using the standard algorithm, but so I don't get confused, I'm also going to add this in my place value chart. So I'm gonna label that. These are my ones, my tens, my hundreds, my thousands, and my 10,000s. So starting, I know I have 0. Looking at this cotton, I have 0 ones, I have 5 tens, I have 600s, I have 1,000 and 1 10,000. Then going to my silk, I have 0 ones and 0 tens. I know that I have 700s and 6,000s. And then lastly, my wool, I know that I have 0 ones, 0 tens. I have 200s. I have 3,000s. All right, so as we are doing this, we are going to look to see if we can group together groups of 10 in order to make a larger unit. So if I start in my ones, I know that I have 0 ones, so that will be 0. Then going to my tens, I only have 5 tens, so I'm going to keep those same 5. Let's go to our hundreds place. So remember, I'm looking to group together 10 hundreds in order to see if I can make 1,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I know I can group together these 10. That becomes 1,000. So let's see how many I have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's not another group of 10. So I know that I have 500s left. Let's go to our thousands. Now I'm going to see if I can group together 10,000s in order to make 1 10,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I know I can group these 10, move that into the 10,000s place, and I have 1,000 left. And then going to my 10,000s place, I have 2 10,000s. So I know that my answer is 21,550 meters. So the last part is to turn this answer into a statement. So the easiest way to turn our answer into a statement is to look at the question and turn that question into a statement. So I know it says how many meters were used in all three fabrics. So I can say 21,550 meters were used in all three fabrics. And that is how we can use the read, draw, write process and modeling to help us solve word problems.